Shining, shining like a diamond. I see people watching. Perfect, hourglass timing. Good things come to those who wait. Silhouette looking cinematic. Yeah, I bet you wish you had this. Bless me, I'm sicker than your average. So contagious.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Lilyvette Rodriguez with Align by Design, and thank you for joining me on my 7-day personal Facebook Live challenge. I have to say that slow because otherwise I'd never get it out correctly. So today we have a very, very exciting interview with Madyson Greene, and I want to bring her up on the screen right away because we have so many things that I want to touch bases with her. But before we do that, do me a favor. Here is my Facebook page link. If you have an opportunity, would you go there and like it so that it can grow organically? So anyway, so welcome, Madyson.
Thank you so much for having me, Lilyvette. I'm so excited to be here.
Not as excited as me, because you are right in the thick of it. I mean, we're going to talk a little bit about all of those things, but the reason why I'm so excited, and I thank you so much for accepting my invitation, is that I wanted to make sure that during this week I had different genres, so to speak, different age groups, and I thought of you immediately because of all of the great things that you happen to be doing in the social media space. But before we get a little bit too much into that, why don't you tell people a little bit about yourself before we get into the deep dive?
Absolutely. So as Lilyvette said, my name is Madyson Greene. I'm a certified life coach, and I specifically work with young adults in between the ages of 18 and 25. And my whole mission with life coaching is PPP, producing proud people. I want to help more ambitious women and more military spouses become proud of who they are, what they do, and the life they live. And I chose coaching. Honestly, I chose coaching and entrepreneurship in the business route over going to traditional university, which is a big part of my story because I am right at my early 20s, and most people about my age are in university. They're working to get a degree, which to each their own. However, I felt that I was supposed to get on a different path. And so I decided to go on ahead and choose business and chose a coaching business as the perfect way to start. So that's what I do on the professional side of things. On the personal side of things, I'm a military spouse. My husband serves in the Marine Corps, and we're currently stationed out here in California.
Wow, that's amazing. Absolutely amazing, amazing. So, just so that this is in perspective, because for me, your story, it's unless someone knew your age, they would never make that connection. They would never bridge that. So if you don't mind, why don't you share with our viewers, or if you're watching the replay, how old you are, Madyson?
Yeah, so I just had my 20th birthday about a month or two ago.
So this is to me so amazing because there are so many other young adults that when they're 20, even when they're going to college, they don't have a clue. They don't have a clue what they'd like to do. And so that to me was an integral part of why I was like, oh no, I have to have Madyson here. But also the other part that I want to share with those who might be watching this live or on replay is that you also happen to come from an entrepreneurial family. Yeah. So did that influence you in any way? Can you share a little bit about that? Just what that influence looked like?
Absolutely. So yeah, my dad is a lifelong entrepreneur. Honestly, who I am as a woman, I have to credit him. Like, he is my best friend. He's my entrepreneur buddy, my coach. Like, I look up to my dad very much. And so he's a lifelong entrepreneur. And I will say during my senior year of high school, it was a really rough year for me just personally. And I think a huge part of that was what you were saying, Lilyvette, of deciding what I was going to do with my life. I had always thought throughout high school that I was going to go the university route. I wanted to work in public service. I wanted to become an FBI agent, and I would need a degree to accomplish that. And that was my game plan for years. Well, during my senior year of high school, life threw some hard things my way, some first really hard challenges to get over. I met a guy who ended up becoming my husband. And because of that, I was like, I have all of these new options. I'm not really sure what I want to do. Well, after some soul searching, and honestly, going back to your question, a huge thing I was wrestling with was, do I go university like all my peers are going to do? All my friends are going to school. But my dad has had such success in business and entrepreneurship. Ever since I was young, I would start random small businesses. Throughout high school, I ran a fitness business called Fit Teen, and I taught classes around the community. So I was into business like I enjoyed it. I think I also had some self-doubt of, could I make a business successful at such a young age, when everyone was telling me, Madyson, you can only be successful if you have a degree. But after some soul searching, getting some counseling and things like that, I was able to make the decision that at least for the next year, I'm going to take a gap year. I'm going to start working with my dad in internet marketing and in the business world. That's how I got involved with DropMock, which has opened so many doors to me so young. I'm so thankful for the DropMock team. But then I also decided I want to do some personal growth, because so many young adults around my age, after experiences I just had, need some help with goals and habits and mindset. And as I was learning that stuff to help me navigate the new business world, I figured, why not give the value back to other young adults?
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. And you know what, honestly, Madyson, what you have learned based on what you just shared would have taken not just the college years of education, but also the experience. Mm-hmm. So you're getting not just the experience, but I know that you invest a lot in that personal development. Okay. And if you could share a little bit for those who are viewing or are going to be watching the replay, what does that look like, right? Because education takes all different shapes. Mm-hmm. So share with us a little bit about your experience with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I do take personal development or personal growth very seriously. Honestly, one of my core values that I've established for myself is growth. I want to continuously be growing personally and professionally. And I think a lot of people, when they think of growing and learning, they think, I've got to go to school, I've got to go get the degree, I've got to hire a tutor. That's a lot of the traditional mindset. But I think learning is finally shifting to more self-education or more hands-on life experience, which I think is awesome, and I'm all for it. What personal growth looks like to me, maybe on the day-to-day, is I actually, like in my schedule, I will set aside up in the top right corner, I always have a time for personal training, and then I have a time for coach training. The personal training is, what do I just want to learn as an individual? So now that I'm in the new season of being a military spouse, I might learn something new about the Marine Corps, something super simple. But then my coach training is, I need to go study something about goals, habits, mindset, belief systems, because that's not only going to make me a better young adult, a better wife, a better daughter, a better friend. That's what's going to make me a better professional and a better coach and business owner moving forward. So for anyone who wants to start self-educating themselves, I say start by writing, like in the corner of your list, spend 15 minutes watching a video. Read one chapter of a personal development book. I'm sure there's a movie you could watch. There are some really inspiring movie clips on YouTube that you could watch. And that's a way to kind of start sparking the growth that you're looking for.
That's amazing advice, so I know that you are a list person. Yeah. I am too. I'm like the queen of stickies. I probably posted in business. But the other thing too is that you are extremely focused. Mm-hmm. I know that you just touched on it a little bit about that time blocking. Yeah. You have used that as well too. So where did that come from? I mean, how did you determine that, okay, this is how I'm going to do it? Is there something that maybe you've done in the past, something of the sphere of people that you affiliate and associate with, that you pick that up? Is that something that innately comes from you? Share a little bit about that.
Absolutely. I will say a lot of it is just natural, just who I am as a person. It comes pretty naturally for me. Like, I've learned so much from my dad over the years. My dad is not a list or time person, so I definitely didn't get it from him. I think one thing that has really served me well was I started working a part-time job as soon as I could. Like, by the time I was 16, I was working full-time, 40 hours a week. And what I will say for young adults who might struggle with productivity or time management is to get a job, in complete honesty, because I was balancing this full-time job, starting my Fit Teen business, while still being in school, amongst just having a social life and things like that. And I think having a work schedule of this new role and responsibilities, as I'm a shift leader at my job and I have to be there promptly, helped to kind of spark in me really young the value of time management and really valuing the roles and responsibilities that you get at a young age. So I think that really served me well. But I would also say I was homeschooled growing up. And so maybe part of it was also that of I've always been very independent in nature, and being homeschooled, a lot of it was self-education of, mom hands you the history book and you have to go on ahead and study the chapters for the day on your own. And you kind of manage your schoolwork on your own as well. So I think just a lot of things in my young life have served me well to being able to manage time really effectively now.
Well, because, as you said that, it was like you worked 40 hours and you went to school. And like, how did you do that? But you just answered that. You were fortunate enough to be in a homeschool environment that allowed for more flexibility during the day. Mm-hmm. So let's touch on a little bit, because you did say that most of your peers went or are away at college. You opted not to. How do you reinforce your personal network to be in the right space or the right type of people that can foster and help you to grow, not just on a personal level, but also on a business level?
Oh, that's a good question. I think a huge credit to that, honestly, is being a part of the Drop Mock team. And I was really just put in a fortunate position of I got really well connected with people super quickly. So that's one thing I'm just going to give credit where credit's due. I think another part of it is I like to be around people who energetically match me. Like, I am a very enthusiastic person just about things professionally and personally. And I want to be around other women and other men who kind of have that same mentality, because it's like you click with them, you resonate with them. And so whenever I am introduced to someone, or, someone just puts someone on my radar, I'm like, I want to go find out about them and see, how we can be of benefit to each other and how we can give value to one another. I think a huge part of networking, in complete honesty, is you just having the confidence to put yourself out there. A lot of times we wait for opportunity to come to us or people to come to us, when people have the same mindset. They're waiting for people to come to them too. So why don't you be the brave one and send them a Facebook message, say, hey, so-and-so suggested that, you and I are kind of passionate about the same things. We're both super enthusiastic about X, Y, or Z. How are you? How's your business going? I don't think networking doesn't have to be going to the coffee shop kind of in the traditional sense. Sometimes that's fine, but networking can be sending someone a Facebook message these days. So I think definitely having a connection of people who are in the same arena as you, who are going through the same challenges and experiences as you, will really serve you well. I think one thing, honestly, most people my age, again, are in university. So a lot of the connections and people I know in the business world are older than me. They're in their 30s, they're in their 50s. I don't know many young people about my age in the business world. So I did have to, either people would bring people to me, or I would have to seek out older, wiser men and women who can mentor me and who can just be valuable in my network.
Well, that's very wise in your young age to be able to recognize that. Most miss the mark, right? Because us old timers, it's like, what are you going to teach me? It's like, but you were at least, you had the vision, if you will, to be able to see that. So how do you market your business? I mean, because most of the people your age, young adults, they're very big on social media. And I know that you even have a course, if I'm not mistaken, on the Instagram platform. So share with us a little bit about how you've been able to leverage social media to be able to get your message across so that people know who you are.
Absolutely. So I do love the Instagram platform. I'm a huge advocate for it. I think it's like Instagram is a business or a brand in a box. They give you everything you need to succeed in complete honesty online. So I like to use Instagram. In complete honesty, any client that I've had has come from Instagram. I think it's the platform that a lot of the young adults, 18 to 25, that I specifically want to work with, they're on that platform or they're on TikTok, So those are the platforms where when I notice what's working, I stick with it. And sometimes I like to veer off and I like to test and try other things. Like recently, I'm trying to get into LinkedIn and learn about that platform because I like to take the things I know and learn about social media and go and teach it to our drop mock community. But Instagram is specifically the platform I use to promote myself as a coach, to share my coaching content, and to really connect with other young adults who I think I could really give value to and help them become proud of who they are, what they do, and the life they live.
Wow, that's good good advice again. So let's switch gears just a little bit because obviously we've gone a little bit general in scope.
Yeah.
In the last 8 months, the world has just made a massive shift. I mean, I call it the equalizer, in the sense that we're all in the same boat, where different experiences from that. But for you personally, did you have to make any personal or business changes as a result of what this pandemic has done worldwide?
That's a good question. Honestly, I'm going to say I'm fortunate enough to, even though the chaos of the world, as most people would consider it, it hasn't directly affected me. And I think part of that is I don't allow it to. I think a lot of things in your life will disrupt your life personally or professionally if you allow it to. In complete honesty, things will get into your mind and into your thoughts if you allow it to, or you can replace a thought with a different thought. But I won't turn this into a coaching session. However,
why not? Go ahead. I give you permission.
Well, in complete honesty, I think the pandemic and COVID and things like that, it has changed a lot of how business is going to be moving forward. And I almost think that's a blessing. It took something like this for this massive shift to happen. But now moving forward into the future, just think about this. People who have worked traditional 9-to-5s and they ended up losing their jobs, they had to pivot. They had to learn self-education, of teach themselves something so they can provide for their families moving forward. But think if they, over the next year or two, really narrow down their focus and grow their business online, they're going to set themselves and their families up for so much success moving forward that I bet they're going to like their life and running their business and making a living online and having more time with their family so much better than having that 9-to-5 that they had pre-COVID. I think they're going to like post-COVID a whole lot better. It's usually just in the rough and tumble of things that it's hard to find clarity. It's hard to make the certain decisions. But then once the chaos kind of goes away, you start to realize that, oh, maybe I am on the right path. Maybe I made the right decision after all. So in complete honesty, like a lot of my friends who were in university, they had to switch their school to online. I think such an advantage at my age was I'm used to teaching myself at home. I'm used to the self-education. I work from home. And so my life didn't have a drastic effect aside from when COVID hit. my husband was at Marine Corps boot camp in his training. And so during the pandemic, instead of me living through, I guess, experiencing pandemic, I experienced husband being at boot camp. And that was kind of my biggest challenge to overcome this year, just personally, was how do I stay focused and committed to who I want to be and what I want to accomplish, while cheering my husband on with who he wants to be and what he wants to accomplish professionally and going into the Marine Corps. So that was my biggest thing this year, more than anything, was the change of, him being with me all the time to now I'm on my own again. And he was gone for half a year. He was gone for 6 months total before I saw him again.
How did you fill your time? I mean, because business has a specific timeline, if you will, right? But here it is, you're a young wife, young military wife now. As you mentioned, just relocated from back east here, and I'm sure that there's going to be constant changes. What would be your advice to military wives that may find themselves in a similar situation as yourself?
Absolutely. I think a huge part of the success of the 6-month season was the clarity I had again on who I wanted to become and what I want to accomplish. When people come and they start getting coached by me, one of the first pillars I coach by is clarity. And I kind of follow clarity, strategy, accountability, and resiliency. That's what I start with. And clarity is all about getting clear on what you want your future to look like and also what you don't want your future to look like. And I think an advantage ever since I was in high school was I've always been very ambitious. I've always been able to see the type of personal success I wanted in my life. And so even when Chris left, that never changed. It was almost like, in complete honesty, as someone who's ambitious and naturally driven, him leaving was like, I get 6 months to work on my goals. Like, this is a huge advantage. So I saw it as, this is good. Like, this can really help me. But also, since I knew I was moving to the West Coast from back home, I was also able to fill my time, not just with business and coaching things. Like, one thing I did professionally while he was gone was I hosted my first group coaching program. So I was able to put that together and go through it with some women. But I also spent a lot of time with my family and with my friends. And I'm so thankful that I did that, like in the evening times when I would usually be with him. Instead, I was able to invest in friendships and stuff before I moved out here.
Wow. And that's a lot. You already had that vision. And obviously you've met quite a bit of those markers, which is amazing. Just, as you said, the clarity, having the accountability. So what would you give Madyson Greene of the future? What advice would you give her?
Absolutely. I think when I think about it right now, just the position of who I am and where I'm at in life right now, when I think of the future, I want to think of service and value to others before myself. I think one thing about me, Lilyvette, is as much as I'm ambitious and naturally driven, one thing, I'm very big on people understanding their assets to success of how they are going to succeed, but also the things that could potentially hold them back. One thing about me is sometimes my ego and my pride takes over. And that is just a part of, I guess, my identity and how I was shaped as a child and as a little girl. But there are times where my ego takes over. And that is something I have to consistently work on, especially as I am trying to be a good steward of the roles and responsibilities I've been given at such a young age. That's something that I think could really hinder my success and the value and service I can have to other young adults and other military spouses. And so because of that, I think the advice I would give to myself into the future is to kind of watch my ego and to remember that it's more about the value to others than what I can gain from this. And that's a mindset shift, because we're in this culture and in this environment where it's about your success, it's about your fame. But another thing is personal success looks different for everyone. Personal success to one of my best friends is getting married and being able to have 5 beautiful kids. And I'm going to cheer her on as she goes after that definition of her personal success. Personal success to me does look a little different, but I want to make sure that I'm doing it for the right reasons and I have the right intentions behind who I want to be and what I want to accomplish. So I think that would be my best advice, is to have the right mindset moving forward and to continuously remind myself, like, what would the best leadership, what would the best leader version of me do in these type of situations?
And you're just starting out. I mean, you have your whole life ahead of you to work on that. So it's very commendable that you recognize that very early on and have it as an asset, right? Because it's one of the things that you are identifying as a potential blind spot. So if somebody was interested in wanting to work with you, share with us, how can they get a hold of you?
Absolutely. So I'm across social media, but if you guys want to find me on Instagram at Madysons_Greene, you can come and hang out with me, see my day-to-day life there, or you can check out my website. I think the link is down here somewhere, MadysonGreene.com. You can find all the links there as well. And then you can chit chat with me however you would like to. I'd love to offer you some coaching guidance, get on a coaching call together. Absolutely.
Wow. Well, thank you. I mean, again, thank you so much for participating in helping to fulfill my quest during these 7 days. As I said, it's just always such a treat speaking with you and getting these nuggets, because you always provide value. And now other women who see themselves in similar situation, either age or military wife, or constantly having to move or adjust because of their circumstances, here is a shining example of what it can look like with no limitations. So if you happen to be watching live or the replay, please like Align by Design Coaching. I would so greatly appreciate that. Madyson, it has just been such a joy sharing this time with you. It means the world to me that you've taken the time out of your busy schedule to be able to come down this journey with me, so to speak.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, Lilyvette. I love you so much.
Oh, thank you, sweetheart. And I can't end the show without giving credit to Miss Tracy Allen, our producer behind the scenes. She's with Digital Marketing Supply. Can't say that very fast, but I want to thank her so much for assisting us and being part of this entire process. So until the next time, this is Lilyvette Rodriguez with